to another edition of A Breath of Fresh Marketing. I'm your host, Melissa Psihudakis, and today we have Emily Keefe, known as Healthy Emmie. She is a smiley plant-based nutritionist and founder of Slim on Starch program dedicated to help thousands of people lose weight on an efficient plant-based diet. Her YouTube channel, Healthy Emmie, is full of fun and educational content where she talks about plant-based health to her fan base, Healthy Honeys. Hey, Emmy, how are you?
Hello, Melissa. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Emmy, better known as Healthy Emmie. I own a nutrition consulting company. I do one-on-one work with clients alongside their own personal mindset coach and nutrition coach. And I also have a course for individuals that aren't looking to do the personalized coaching that want to lose weight through a plant-based diet. They can do so through the course. So that's what I do.
Oh, awesome. So where are you from originally?
I'm originally from the outskirts of Boston, born and raised. Went to school in North Carolina. And then after graduating school, I have lived a few lives. I lived in Australia after that, and then I moved back home to Boston. So I'm currently on the outskirts of Boston.
Wow, that's amazing. How is Australia?
It's as cool as you think it's going to be.
Kangaroos and koala bears and the whole nine?
The whole thing. And, you know, it's a completely different lifestyle there. You think you're going to sound totally naive as I was, you think you're going to a more beautiful tropical America. That is totally not the case. It is a whole other world down there, a different culture, just a completely different experience from living in the US. So I had so much fun living there.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I've never been there, but it looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a strong plant-based community there when you were living there, or maybe in Boston where you were growing up?
I did not grow up in a strong plant-based community. I grew up in, a house where the standard American diet was the standard. I don't think I knew even one vegan or vegetarian. I didn't even know what a vegan was and what the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian was. I stumbled upon the plant-based lifestyle online in my teens and decided to pursue it. Ended up becoming completely plant-based overnight and got my parents into it as well. So they're completely plant-based now too. They've resolved all of their health issues, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, off all of their medications, lost weight. So now the family is plant-based too, but I did not grow up in a plant-based community.
Okay. And when were you first interested in nutrition and plant-based eating?
I grew up as an athlete, so nutrition was always something that loomed in the background. As a runner, especially, knowing that you have to fuel properly for your races, and food was always looked at as fuel. I remember during my soccer games, I would eat an entire bagel at halftime so that I could have the carbs for the second half of my soccer game. So it was always looked at as fuel. And as I got older and wanted to maintain athleticism and fitness, I knew that I really had to take a more serious approach about it because I was young and I could eat something like a bagel, but getting older and knowing, okay, maybe there's better forms of carbs for me to look at. I want to maintain my athleticism. I want to be fit. Let me start to look into this. And once I started to look into it, I was so intrigued and fascinated by it, how you can prevent disease, you can reverse disease. It's amazing what you can do with food. And weight loss is one of the great benefits as well. And that's really where I specialize now.
Nice. So I take it that was your main inspiration to decide to pursue it as a career?
So I actually, as I said, I've lived a few lives. I graduated university to become a math teacher, and I did become a math teacher. I taught algebra and geometry for a year in Boston, and then I moved to Australia and I taught there. And all the while, even through college, I was doing YouTube videos about plant-based nutrition. I was just so passionate about it. I was so intrigued. I was so fascinated. And I felt like I had found the keys to the kingdom. I knew about this thing that nobody else seemed to know about. And it's amazing what you can do just through food. And I see all these people that struggle with their weight with such pure intentions, struggle with their health. They're over-exercising. They're cutting out carbs. They're starving themselves, doing juice cleanses. It's craziness with such pure intentions, and then they always fail. And of course they fail because it's a starvation diet. And here I was with all of this new knowledge about how people can be successful while eating an abundance of food, feeling full, having carbs, not over exercising. Why didn't people know about that? So I was making YouTube videos just because I had such a passion for it. I was in college making them. I actually studied abroad in London, and I would go into Hyde Park and I would put my camera onto a tree in Hyde Park. It was my iPhone actually. And I would just make videos on my iPhone and upload them. And then in college made them. As I was a teacher, I would make them. And those videos started to gain traction over about 5 or 6 years before I even did anything. And I'd grown a following there and a big community there and a very loyal community that I felt very connected to. So on the side, I decided to pursue becoming a nutritionist and becoming certified as a holistic health coach. And doing that, I said to my audience, hey, I'm certified now. And so if you want to work with me, you can work with me. And a flood of emails came in the very next morning. And so I said, oh, I might have something here, and I always knew it was really what I wanted to do. I loved to teach, but I didn't love to teach math to kids who didn't want to learn it. What I loved about getting all these emails was these were people that wanted to learn. They wanted help. They wanted to get better. They wanted somebody to teach them. And it was something that I was really passionate about. So was it my original plan? No, I thought that I was going to be a math teacher until the day that I died. But here I am now with a nutrition consulting business, and I love every minute of it.
Nice. So tell us about your YouTube channel, Healthy Emmie, and the message behind it.
So Healthy Emmie is a place where I like to make nutrition and weight loss simple. There's so much conflicting advice out there. Do you need to cut carbs? Can I eat after 8 p.m.? How much do I need to exercise? Do I need to eat high protein? And there's so much floating around that it's really hard to sort through it. And people don't have the time to sort through it, nor should people have to sort through it. This really should be simple. We see all these other animals out in nature. They're not overweight. They're not sick. They're also not going to gyms and counting calories. So why are we doing things that other healthy animals in nature aren't doing, but we're the sickest and the fattest of all the animals in nature? So there's something that's not aligned here, and eating is supposed to be easy. We're supposed to maintain a healthy weight effortlessly, but there's so much food in the modern environment that was created so that we would be addicted to it, and it will fatten us up and we'll come back for more, and we want that fat and we want the animal protein that's in there, that we're in this conundrum where we overexercise, we try to cut out carbs, we try to do all these things, and it just makes us fatter and sicker, fatter and sicker. So the reason I created Healthy Emmie was I want people to just separate from all of that, be able to come to the Healthy Emmie channel, watch a video and say, I get it now. This makes so much sense. Why was it never explained to me this way before? It's so easy to understand now. I really just try to simplify everything and show the person who's watching that health, weight loss is available for you too. Nobody is broken. Nobody is below what the understanding or intelligence level needs to be. This is supposed to be easy. We're supposed to be healthy animals, and let me show you how.
Sure. So what sets you apart from other channels on YouTube?
I think that we often neglect, something I usually say is it's not as much what we're eating, but it's what's eating us. And we often neglect the mindset that comes along with health and weight loss. And people are very fixated on losing weight for a purpose that is outside of true health. Mm-hmm. It is usually for self-acceptance, self-love, self-esteem, vanity purposes, wanting to get a promotion at work. There's something else that's tied into it. So what I do with my clients is we have a nutrition coach that's a registered dietitian by practice, and we have a mindset coach. Many of them are therapists by practice who work with the clients alongside me. So every client gets their own nutrition coach, but they also get the mindset coach because the mindset piece is huge. And whenever I'm talking to new clients, they usually say to me, the reason why I want to work with you is because you actually talk about the mindset piece. So it's so much more than just a diet plan. This really is deeper, and there's more to it here than just the food on your plate and the number that's on your jeans.
Sure. That makes sense. That's great, actually. So what are the benefits of plant-based eating? Is it for everybody? Can you talk about what it actually is?
A lot of people tend to become a little bit nervous when they hear about plant-based eating because it seems extreme. Mm-hmm. And what I say back to that is, How wild is it that eating fruits and vegetables it seems to be extreme? This is natural, real food, and real food doesn't have ingredients. Real food is ingredients. So I want you to sort of separate everything that you've heard judgmentally about plant-based eating and just think about it from the perspective of, I'm eating whole, real foods. I'm eating rice. I'm eating oats. I'm eating corn. This is all good stuff. So that's the first thing, to understand that you're just incorporating more whole, real foods into your diet. And the second thing is, you don't have to be 100%. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and be 100% vegan or even use the word vegan. I don't like to use the word vegan because it tends to scare people away, think that it's extreme and all the ethics that come into it. You can just start by incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your diet and start to see that your weight will start to go down, 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 because you're crowding out all the other foods. So we don't have to take any extreme measures, but I think that every person on this planet would benefit from incorporating more fruits and vegetables in their diet.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about the current state of diet culture and its effects on people?
The unfortunate reality of the current diet culture is that a lot of it is fueled by marketing, a desire to make money, repeat customers. And these industries have been built so that people will subscribe to a diet plan, inevitably fail because it is very low on calories. It's a crash diet. There's a very popular weight loss method out there that is... It advertises 1,200 calories per day, and that's enough calories for a 3-year-old. And so, of course, a grown man or woman is not going to be able to sustain that. They're going to get hungry and they're going to inevitably binge. Right. What happens is they binge and they say, what is wrong with me? I have no willpower. I can't do this. I need to get right back on. I'm starting over, starting fresh. I'm going to do this from now on. I'm going to be good this time. And that's the hamster wheel that people go on for their entire lives. And the company that is overseeing this and subscribing that 1,200 calorie diet, they are laughing their way to the bank. And I think it's unethical is what I think. So what I try to do with my clients is set up something sustainable for the long term that allows you to eat in abundance. I don't like the word diet. I don't want this to be a diet. I want this to be a foundation that we form together that you can build off for the rest of your life. So we're going to form this healthy eating foundation. And then once we lock that into place, let's talk about birthdays and date nights and when you go to Italy and when you go to Paris. Let's talk about incorporating those things back in so that this can be something sustainable for the long term, as opposed to a crash diet hamster wheel that you're on.
Nice. And what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about health, particularly about plant-based eating?
There are two main misconceptions that come to mind. The first is that carbs make you fat. This is a complete myth. I don't even know where it stemmed from, because the process of turning carbs into fat, which is known as de novo lipogenesis, is extremely inefficient in humans. Humans rarely ever turn carbs into fat. Animals like pigs and cows and bees actually are really good at it. They can turn carbs into fat, but humans can't do it. Where this stems from is when we eat carbohydrates, we have to process those carbohydrates through glycogen, which holds on to water. So when we have glycogen, when we're storing glycogen, which is temporary energy, we're going to hold on to a little bit more water. This means that when you stop eating carbs, you'll get on the scale the next day and you'll be 3 pounds down. And that's because those 3 pounds of water weight, you've peed them out. That's where they've gone. You start eating carbs the next day, those 3 pounds come back. So people make the misconception that you're burning fat when really you're just dehydrating your body. So carbs do not turn into fat. The diets that my clients are eating are about 80% to 90% carbohydrates, very high in carbohydrates, and losing weight like crazy. The second misconception is that you need to exercise to lose weight. I do not prescribe any exercise to my clients, and they lose weight effortlessly. When we exercise, people go to the gym and they get on a machine and they go, oh my goodness, I burned 600 calories. The machine says burn 600 calories. The reality is that you probably burned about 200 to 300 calories. But after that, we max out on the amount of calories that we can burn. Once we hit that 200 to 300, what starts to happen is our body will take away from other processes. So you might start to feel cold. I'm moving my hands as I'm talking right now. You might move your hands less throughout the day. Your body will make up for those extra calories that you've burned. And so what people do is they go to the gym, they quote unquote burn 600 calories, and they say, "Oh, I've earned an extra 600 calories. So now I'm going to go have some dessert that they wouldn't have had in the first place, and they didn't burn those extra calories." Right. So it's double trouble there. So between this and thinking carbs are fat, this is how people get themselves on this exhausting hamster wheel of dieting.
I'm on that wheel.
Many people are. It's very rare to find somebody that hasn't heard carbs make you fat. And if you want to lose weight, eat less and move more. And both of these things are a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I've tried everything. It's, I'm down 7 pounds, but I'm stuck now. So it's frustrating for sure.
You got to get slim on starch.
I do. Is there a lot of misinformation out there?
For sure. There's more misinformation than there is correct information. We often see that the ticket to get people interested is to introduce doubt. So if you look at some magazine, some fitness magazine, and you look at the titles on the magazines as the years go on, it'll say, butter is in, butter is out. Butter is back in, butter is out. So you throw up your hands, you go, what the heck? What am I supposed to believe now? And
Right.
Now people pay attention, they become desperate, and they'll listen to anything. And so this is why there's so much misinformation, because that's actually profitable for these companies. So if you come to my channel and you watch a video from 5 years ago and you watch a video from today, you'll find the same information, because I'm not going to be unwavering. I really want what I do with my clients to be something trusty and reliable, and I will shoot you straight. I'll give you the information. I tell my clients, I don't want repeat clients. I really want you to be successful for the long term.
Sure. So can you tell us about your diet program, Slim on Starch?
Sure. So Slim on Starch is a plant-based diet made up of 4 essential food groups: starch, vegetables, fruits, legumes. Starch is the majority of the diet. That is potatoes, rice, beans, oatmeal, corn. And people hear that and they go, what? What? I can eat rice. I can eat potatoes. I haven't eaten that stuff in years. It's so high in carbs.
Right.
And I say, I know it's scary, right? Because we've heard carbs are bad. Carbs make you fat, but you can't think your way into acting. You only can act your way into thinking. So I could sit here forever and tell you all the studies. I could tell you about all my clients until I'm blue in the face. I could tell you carbs don't make you fat, but the only way you're going to believe it is if you dive in and start eating this way, with the majority of your intake coming from rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, oatmeal, and then vegetables, fruits, and then legumes are things like beans, peas, and lentils. And then you'll see the weight start to drop. Over the first week, your weight might go up a couple pounds. That's nothing to worry about. That's that water weight and glycogen that we talked about in the beginning, but it will come right down after that. We don't have any animal products, so no meat, no cheese, and people lose weight like crazy on this program, and it's sustainable. There's no calorie counting. There's no exercise. You can eat in abundance. It sounds too good to be true, but come to my channel, watch all of the testimonials from my clients. I've been eating this way for years and years. It's the secret sauce. It's this little hidden kingdom that I hope becomes more well-known and popular as the years go on.
Well, it sounds pretty awesome. Can you tell us a bit about the success of Slim on Starch so far?
Sure. So I've had over 1,000 one-on-one clients, and that number is going to continue to grow through the course as well. So not only working with clients one-on-one, but after surpassing 1,000, I said, okay, there's a large market for this. Let's make this a course that people can do themselves as a DIY version. I would say one of my most notable clients is my client, Dan, who had done everything. He had done everything under the sun, as much as he did a 50-day water fast where he did not eat for 50 days. He only drank water, which is insanity. I can't go 5 hours or 50 minutes without eating.
Yeah.
And he said, Emmy, this is the only way I've ever lost weight was through not eating.
Wow.
In fact, we got on our first phone call and he said, I'm a huge skeptic. I don't think this is going to work, but I've done everything and I'm desperate at this point. And I said, okay, tell me what your goal is. And he was over 200 pounds. And he said, if I can get below 200 pounds, I'll be thrilled. He was at about 250. And through the course of our work together, he lost 100 pounds and he has kept it off, which is the best part. It's losing weight is easy. Anybody can lose weight. It's keeping it off for the long term. That's the hard part. And that's my real goal with clients. So I'm so happy to say that Dan not only lost 100 pounds, but he's kept it off, which is tremendous.
That's amazing. That's really something. It sounds like that show Survivor when all they get to drink is water if they're lucky to find it, you know?
And that goes to show, I mean, how sad is it that this is how desperate people are? This is how much it's taking over, that they're willing to not eat entirely in order to lose weight. There has to be another way, and there is.
So what would you say to those who are a little intimidated by Slim on Starch's price tag?
The average cost of a heart attack, a less severe heart attack, is $760,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
And that's a less severe heart attack. It turns out to be about $50,000 per year. So this is even more than a lot of people's annual salary. So imagine in one day, one moment, one heart attack, you could lose everything. Or you can make an investment in your health to prevent that from ever happening. And a plant-based diet is shown to prevent and can even reverse heart disease, which is wild. Through solely a plant-based diet, a slim on starch diet, you can reverse heart disease. I've had clients reverse type 2 diabetes. And these are things that there's big money to be made in sick people. And so if you can prevent this through happening, by being in the Slim on Starch program and working through preventative medicine, which is what food medicine is, you are investing in yourself and you are saving yourself down the line. Most people spend the last decade of their lives sick, in nursing homes, unable to take care of themselves. And those are the golden years. You work your entire life so that you can get to retirement and enjoy it. And most people can't because they're so sick from dieting. And so if we can prevent that through a healthy plant-based diet, it's the best investment you can ever make in yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I didn't know any of this, so this is really cool information.
Cool.
So we've also noticed that you talk a lot about the book, The Starch Solution by John A. and Mary McDougall on your YouTube channel. Can you tell us a bit about the book and how it ties into Slim on Starch?
Whenever people are completely brand new to this lifestyle, I say, have you heard of the book, The Starch Solution? And they're not too warm to this idea. I say, look into that book and I'll even buy it for you and I'll send it to your house if you want so that you can start to look into it. And they start to read it and it's by a doctor and they say, this makes sense. In the book, Dr. McDougall talks about how all populations through all verifiable human history have thrived on a diet of starch. All lean, healthy populations have eaten a diet of starch. You know, the Aztecs and the Mayans on corn and potatoes, and the Egyptians on wheat. All of these people have thrived on a starch-based diet. I mean, look at what happened to the Irish when they didn't have their potatoes, and they've been healthy and lean without any health issues. The Asian population has thrived on a diet of white rice without obesity, without heart disease, without diabetes. Until the American diet was introduced, then these things started to come up. And he talks about this in the book. So people say, so starch isn't bad for you. And then they're warmed up. And I've used a lot of his teachings to inform how I work with clients. And he talks about how a high starch diet, which is based on rice, potatoes, corn, beans, oatmeal, is the most optimal one for human health.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And I did read a book on the potato famine, so I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried the white rice thing. I need to do more though. And I do the lentils, but I also still eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on that. So overall, what's your favorite type of content to make for your YouTube channel?
On my YouTube channel, I have client testimonials where I talk with a client after we've worked together. And we start at the beginning. I ask, what are your first memories around dieting and body image and food? And we take it all the way to modern day. And it's so beautiful to share these stories because people watching can think, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, I thought I was the only one. I'm not the only one who eats in secret and doesn't tell my husband about it. I'm not the only one who does all these things that we talk about on the channel. And then they see what the outcome could be. So I love sharing these stories on my channel, and they're the most rewarding piece of content to make.
Nice. And where do you hope to see Healthy Emmie in the next 5 years?
Well, 5 years ago, I was in college pursuing a degree in math education, and I never in a million years thought I would be doing this. So what's to come in 5 years? I have no idea. I love so much doing my consulting intimately with clients. I love educating about a plant-based diet, and I really don't know what's to come. I did not think I was going to be where I am today, so I don't know where I'm going to go.
Well, that's very exciting. I can't wait to see what you have in store. Do you have any advice for those who are interested in eating plant-based but don't know where to start?
Mm-hmm. I would say start simply. Don't overcomplicate this. When I say it really is as simple as incorporating more fruits and vegetables and whole foods, it really is that simple. Use the process of what we call crowding out. So instead of saying, I'm not going to have ice cream, I'm not going to have chips, I'm not going to have crackers, I want you to say, I am going to have an apple for a snack today. I am going to have rice tonight with my dinner. I'm going to have some frozen fruit after dinner for dessert. Start to talk about the things that you are going to have that are whole foods, and then the other stuff starts to crowd out because you only have so much room in your stomach.
Right, that makes sense. So who are your biggest supporters?
I got a degree in math education. I went to university for 4 years, and then I left my job as a teacher to do this. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have such loving, supportive parents who, through my whole life, supported me to become a math teacher. I did that, and then I said, not doing this anymore. And if I didn't have them, then I don't know if I could have done it. It was so great to know that they were so supportive of what I wanted to do, even though it was totally non-traditional. And this was before, post-pandemic, online things are popular. But before that, I'm going to do an online business from my YouTube channel. That's crazy. Right. That sounds crazy, especially to parents that did things so traditionally. Work till you die, you retire, same job, 30 years, and they have this little 23-year-old who's going to leave her steady job with a pension to do entrepreneurship with no business degree, don't know the first thing about starting a business or anything along those lines. This is out of true passion. I wouldn't have been able to do that without such loving parents.
Nice. Can you finish off by telling us about your philosophy of starting things today rather than putting them off until tomorrow?
I often have clients who are hesitant to begin work with me. They say, now's not a good time. I think, after the kids get back in school or after this vacation or after this happens. If we don't start today, what makes us think that we're going to start tomorrow? And the years are going to go by and they're going to fly by. And I talk to clients who say, I wish I had started this 20 years ago. I was 20 and I said, I'll figure it out by 21. I was 21 and I said, I'll figure it out by 22. It doesn't magically happen. You have to start, and you have to start today. And even if you're listening to this podcast at 6 p.m., 8 p.m., no matter what time it is, you can start right now. Start by planning, what am I going to have tomorrow that has one extra fruit or vegetable in it? Get started. Like I said earlier in the podcast, we can't think our way into acting. We have to act our way into thinking. And the only way to do that is to start before we're ready.
Oh, that makes total sense. So how can everybody find you on social media?
I'm Healthy Emmie. YouTube is where you're going to get the most free content. I have hundreds of videos on there, so go to my YouTube channel. It's the most comprehensive place to learn more. I'm also Healthy Emmie on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can go to healthyemmie.org. If you want a free one-day meal plan, you can go to healthyemmie.org and get that there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure. I wish you well in all of your endeavors. Thanks, Emmie.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And thank you everyone for tuning in for another edition of A Breath Fresh Marketing. And thank you and be well.